It's leading to this type of governance that we're experiencing in Nigeria. It's a democracy, and this is about the longest stretch that we've had from 1999 that had produced about 5 different presidents, 4 still living, 1 is late. And we've been able to, despite the challenges that we faced as a people, we've still tried to keep this democracy going. And the last maybe almost 4 months now, precisely on the 29th of May till now, we've seen, a different kind of expectations from Nigerians, even though build up to the 2015 election, even before the merger of the then ACN, the CPC, a faction of ABGA, came together to wrestle power from the PDP. The people were asking, let us have a proper democracy. Let us enjoy democracy the way it's being practiced in every other country around the world. So you look at some of these expectations and then you match it with the reality that we have on ground. Well, today is Wednesday, and we're going to be looking at policies of the government in respect to food security in Nigeria. Well, at this point, I'm not sure there's any point gainsaying the fact that if we don't do the right thing, we might get to a point, where we'd have shortage of food supply in this country, especially when you look at the fact that the ban on the importation of rice has been in full force for years rather. But I've always asked people, there's still imported rice in the market. People will still prefer to go for the foreign rice as against the locally produced rice in Nigeria. So we'll look at some of these challenges, especially when you look at the price of rice and other items in the markets. I always focus on rice because that's almost like the most consumed food in Nigerian families. There's hardly a time you go a week, a month, and not have something, whether you take it as rice, you take it as tuwo, however it comes. So, and one of the things that the people had always talked about, again, has to do with the quality of the locally produced rice that we have in Nigeria. Can we export them? Do they meet the foreign standard? Do they meet the international standard? Even within the West African region, our rice, are they in good demand in the market? So we look at, some of these things. So there's so much to talk about on the show today. My guest is going to be joining us via phone. He's a young entrepreneur. He's a farmer. He deals in rice production. So we'll come to him very soon. But some portion of breaking news: the Kano governorship election petition tribunal has sacked Governor Abba Kabiru Yusuf, declaring the All Progressive Congress winner of the March 8th governorship election in the states. Interesting. Really, really interesting. Governor Yusuf, who contested on the platform of the NNPP, was declared winner of the election by INEC. While Nasiru Gawuna, his APC rival, congratulated him, the party decided to go to court. So that's breaking. Keep your dial locked on Milan 98.3 FM. By the time we get the headline news by 5:30, you certainly get the full details of that judgment. Well, I followed the judgment at some point today, and I don't even know what I'm supposed to be excited about. The fact that the judgment was delivered virtually means that nobody even knows where the judges delivered the judgment, or from the court maybe, but it was not open to the public. The link was locked. So if you've noticed that there's an advancement in judicial system, or is as a result of maybe pressure or the expectations or anticipation that there could be some form of chaos. We saw what happened at the general elections in Kano State, both the National Assembly, the State Houses of Assembly, the gubernatorial election. We saw all of the things that played out. So I don't know where to place that balance, but the most important thing is that the judgment was delivered virtually. So people were not allowed into the court premises, but you can monitor it from wherever you are. And that is the breaking one. So let's get straight up into the conversation today. I said we're going to focus on food security as it affects our existence as a people. We look at some of the challenges that we face as a nation in terms of, meeting the standard or meeting the quantity of what we need to consume, that we don't have to rely on foreign products, especially when some of these things are not even accessible. You can't go to the farms. The flood that happened that affected almost about 26 states across the federation last year had a devastating effect on the quantity of food that was available in the market during this period. So the question is, if we look at issues around food security in Nigeria, I would also look at how the government will need to collaborate with the farmers, with the private sector, to open this conversation up the more. Then we also talk about, how the world can look into what we are producing, so that we don't continue to talk about the consistent rise in the value of naira to a dollar. It is going to be that way because we continue to import everything. So if we also have something that we are giving out, so that when all of these big ships, when they bring in goods into the country, they can also take things out of the country, and so that we can exchange, business. It's not just going to be we buying in. People should also be able to buy from us. So we've got so much to discuss on the show today. So I have Mr. MATHIAS 𝗪𝗵𝗁. He's joining me via phone. Well, I'm sure if you heard where the name came from, then you know that he's a plateau man. Well, he's a young man, he's an entrepreneur, he's the CEO of Fresh from the Farm Agri business world. Well, he joins us via phone, so let's get straight up into it. Mr. MATHIAS, good evening and welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you very much for 𝗪𝗵𝗁, and nice having me this beautiful evening.
Okay, this program is being streamed live, so you can log in to our Facebook page, facebook.com/mainland98.3 FM, or you go to our YouTube page to watch us live. So let's see all of these things would go on the show today. So Mr. MATHIAS, let's start from here. You just came back into the country after spending a couple of months in the United States. And, while I was going through your profile, I saw some of the things you did in respect to some of the leadership trainings you had. You also made some visit to some, dairy farms in the US and all of that. Quickly, before we get into the conversation, what is the farming culture of the United States as against what we have in Nigeria? Or let me put it this way, as against what you practice as a farmer in Nigeria?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on as a guest. And when I saw the topic, food insecurity, and you were going to have me, I was like, this is a matter of national issue, and it needs proper attention and urgent attention. Now, straight to your question, without wasting time, let me just tell you, Mr. OPEYEMI, the truth is, when it comes to agriculture, Nigeria is joking. Nigeria is really, really, really joking. My small visit to the U.S., with what I saw, I know Nigeria is joking. Like, we are not ready. We are not even ready. We are not ready. We're not ready to put systems in place. These things are not magic. They're not done by angels. They're done by humans like you and I. So unless we are intentional, trust me, we can't achieve anything. And you say compare, you can't even compare now. About you said you want to compare. You can't compare nothing. We're not ready. We are not ready.
Okay, I don't know how happy or how excited I felt hearing that, but I think it's just about the reality of what we have on ground. I mean, we have a situation in this country where, people are not even allowed access to their farms. The ones that they stress themselves, their families, collected loans from bank to plants, and then, people even make plants, and out of nowhere, herders would move their cows into this farm, and these are really unfortunate situations, but it's okay. I mean, I know that the system that you saw over there did not start a day. I feel if we can be consistent, and I guess that's exactly why we need to have this conversation today. So let me come to you, Mr. MATHIAS. Let me put it this way. You're a local farmer. Let me just put it that way, because what you produce are sourced locally, the rice, the milling process and all of that. But what had been the most challenging phase you've had to, go through? I also saw that at some point when I was going through your profile, you appeared on, one of the TV shows that sponsors ideas and products and services. We'd also come to talk about that when it comes to funding for local farmers. But majorly, what exactly has been the biggest challenge that you faced as a local rice producer in Nigeria?
Now, when I said we were not ready, it's because there are a couple of issues that the people and the government are not ready to address. Now, as a local farmer that I am, yes, I'm a local farmer, and I was opportunity to go on international stages because of the same agriculture and entrepreneurship table. You see, the issue of this insecurity thing, people think it's a joke. It's not a joke. You cannot thrive. We're talking about insecurity, and people think, well, we should never play politics with people's lives. See, I myself, I will tell you that we have abandoned our biggest farmlands because of insecurity. Do you know, OPEYEMI, that this, where I am in Plateau State, that we farm up everything, as in everything. But the unfortunate situation is, how will you feel after I've spent 500,000 naira investment on the farmland, and I wake up the next morning, everything is being cut down, and then the only thing I get from my government is to tell me that we'll look into it, and then that passes. The next year I go into the same thing. The next upper year I go into the same thing. The next, how about now? Tell me. Let me use myself as an example again. Last year I cultivated corn in another community because I could not cultivate corn in my community because we were told not to cultivate corn because of insecurity issues.
In your own community?
Yes, that they were long crops. According to them, do not cultivate long crops anywhere within, because my community is close to the town, so do not cultivate long crops because of insecurity issues. You're telling me not to farm what to eat and what to sell because of insecurity issues that you could not handle as a person. Now, I took myself to cultivate that corn in a community where they don't have such restrictions. Cultivation was fine, everything was fine. When we went for harvest, and we were coming back from harvesting from my farmland, me, I am telling you personally, I escaped being kidnapped. I was the one driving the van with my harvested corn in it. I escaped kidnapping. This is not 𝗪𝗵𝘁𝘀𝗪. This is me. Now, how I escaped it, glory be to God, how God helped me. All I know is that, you know, when you watch movies, action movies, and you just and
it's all playing out right on your face.
You just put them on your foot. Anything that will happen, let it happen. That's how I escaped. That was how I escaped. So if you look at it, that is me that escaped. How many people could not escape? So how do you want to talk about food security when there's insecurity? You see, these things are, then, like I said, they're not rocket science. They're not rocket science. Now, let me give you another example. Now, a farmer cultivates cassava, 10 acres of land, and we have the farm being destroyed, either by, let's say, natural disaster, which is flood, or let's say man-made disaster, which is the most common one that is going on. And it happens, and the person cries out. Do you know that the only thing that is being done is you just see it on media, and that's it? The government or the local government do not even go to the aid of the farmer to even say, since you've been doing this to help the people, this is food. He's not eating it. He or she is cultivating this thing to sell, to feed the people in the city. So unless the people in the city are able to understand that they are not safe, if the people in the rural area are not safe, because if the rural area stops cultivating food, I'm telling you, you people in the city are going to die of hunger. It's not magic. It is not magic. I know I experience commercial banks here. You meet this financial system and tell them forget about what you eat for you. I really work because Nigeria is very good at that. And we think food is
all of these schemes being brought up by the government.
Good thing to myself. Now, where will I was it not in another state? Multiply that by 2, victim of, because you don't want to die. Complete at 25,000 fertilizer. You're getting 6,000 plus the 𝗵𝗃, that is, which is 35. Every state. Now this 6,000 is equivalent to get to, let's say, it's going to get to my state that are farmers. While a particular farmer number, if you're going to give
these states, when there's farming season, they come out well.
You want to help food insecurity, then anybody. So when he tells you, okay, we're the ones doing this, separate, then you chat the military farmers in Kano. Deal with them, direct money and give, struggling to find out where those monies are. Give the real farmers good. My brother, that's the point.
I've been speaking with Mr. MATHIAS PWOL, food seeds, and one of the state of farmers and all of that thousands. So one of the problems, meal.
See, we are doing now when we are producing quality. And I'm telling you, ask major rice producers. Most of these foreign rice that are in the market are the baggage rice. They are Nigerian rice. They're not coming from any border. Most of them. I'm not saying rice are not being smuggled. They are being smuggled. Yes. But I'm telling you that I'm not okay. Let me even use myself as an example. Well, our rice company, Camel Rice, as in George, I will process 100% clean and stone-free Nigerian rice. Now, we've had times that, especially Christmas time, whereby a group of people will come or an organization will come and they will want you, because your rice is of quality, they want you to rebaggage it in a foreign rice bag so that they can go and sell it as foreign rice. And I bet you, if I should bring a grade 1 of Nigerian rice and bring foreign rice here, I bet you will select Nigerian rice without knowing that it is Nigerian rice. So quality is not even the problem. People are not eating. People just have this thinking. It's not they're not eating it because we don't have quality. We have quality. It was then. But we have quality now. And I'm telling you, if you eat Nigerian rice and eat foreign rice, if you eat good Nigerian rice today and eat foreign rice, I bet you will not want to eat foreign rice again. Foreign rice doesn't have taste now.
Now, let me ask you, Mr. Mathias, the fact that we are still talking about the issue of foreign rice, it worries me. I think it's about 4 years now that the federal government had, closed the border and put rice on the list of, banned goods that can be brought into the country. And 4 years down the line, we're still talking about the fact that we cannot meet our local consumption. We cannot produce up to what we can consume locally. Are you worried that despite the fact that we've officially closed the border against importation of foreign rice, we still have foreign rice in the market? What exactly is going on? Where is the link coming in from?
In Nigeria, in fast voice, he said, "This is Nigeria." You should understand what I'm talking about now. This is Nigeria. If you like, block everything where you want block, my brother. This is Nigeria. There are people that are enemies of the government. There are people that are enemies of the progress of the country. There are people that are high people, top people that are involved in this foreign rice importation. So do you want to just cut in their pipeline of resources or funding just like that? Do you think they're just going to sit down without fighting it? They will fight it. So no matter the ban, there will still be leaks, which is normal. In our business, we always put that as a threat. In our SWOT analysis as a business owner, as a rice manufacturer, we have that under our threat. Smuggled rice. They are threats, and you cannot do without them. There's no business that doesn't do with threats. There are always threats. So you just give them a place. They belong there.
Mr. Mathias, now let me ask you, before we open the conversation, the idea of having locally produced rice is obviously just to bring down the price of rice in the markets. But even the locally produced rice are selling almost at the same price within quotes the foreign rice, because you've made me believe that 50% of the foreign rice we buy in the market are grade 1 repackaged Nigerian rice. That means they are grades. We'll come to that later. So the question is this: the price of the locally produced rice is almost at par with the foreign rice. How come we cannot have a locally produced rice here that can crash the price of the foreign rice and still maintain the quality that has been produced? Because it doesn't make sense. If I can buy the bag of, in quotes now, foreign rice that I feel is clean, is well packaged, if I can buy it for 50,000 and I'm buying a bag of locally produced rice that I feel is not clean enough for maybe 47,000 with a price difference of less than 5,000, I would certainly want to go for the foreign rice. So how come we still have the locally produced rice? How come it's still this expensive, Mr. Mathias?
This is not even going to be expensive. Camel rice is sold at 45,000, which is one of the cheapest.
45,000 is a lot of money, Mr. Mathias.
Yeah. Yes, what do you expect, my brother? How much is fuel? These are the things we use to produce now. Is it magic? Even the mechanization you're talking about, the tractor that will work, is it not fuel and diesel they're going to use? How much is diesel? 800, 900 per liter. How much is fuel? 617. How much will you do a full tank? Let me give you why the rice is expensive. Like, we process rice. Now, we go to the villages to buy what they call paddy, which is the raw material. Then we used to buy the raw material per ton, 180,000, maximum 200,000. maximum 200,000 per ton. Now, as of today, per ton is 390 to 400,000.
Wow.
Per ton. Per ton of that raw material before you process. And mind you, when you're buying raw material, you come to process, there are plenty things involved. It's either you lose or you win. Because the raw materials might come and then they might not come in
good quality.
It's right now. It's in good quality. And then you will lose. You end up finding a lot of chaff. Yes, because when we go to buy raw materials, we weigh them. Now, you only weigh what you are just weighing. You don't know what's inside, right? So when you bring it to the factory to start processing, my brother, that is number one. Number two, we used to move let's say we used to move rice from Jos or from Kano to Lagos. We used to pay 500, 600,000 naira per truckload. 700,000 maximum per truckload. But right now that truckload is 1.2. Cost of logistics, 1.2 million naira or even more. And even these truck drivers will tell you which state and which state they don't want to go to. How will you fix that? How will you fix that? And don't forget that apart from that, the truck that might take for you at a cheaper rate might go and spoil on the road because we have bad roads. You know. Either maybe the truck have capsized on the road. Because me, I'm giving you precise information because I followed trucks several times. I followed trucks to different states to do the see what the struggle is all about. So when I'm talking with passion, I'm not just talking like a Ponzi scheme farmer. I'm talking to the real farmer that has been on the field. I'm still on the field. I am still on the field. I know what is painful to us as farmers. So if we are crying that we're having insecurity, we are crying that flood is hitting us, we are crying that the cost of fuel and everything is hitting us, and everybody is keeping quiet, you will buy it at an expensive price now. Since you don't want to join us and fight, then you will pay for it. In fact, I saw your question. One of your questions was, how much do you think rice will be sold by the end of the year?
Yes, I'm coming to that because this is September, and we all agree that rice is almost like the most consumed food in this country. There's virtually no family.
It's number two most consumed staple food in the country.
Exactly. So you would presume that by December, when the festive periods are upon us, or the new year, the price of these commodities will go up. So now, if we're buying, just like you said, a bag of your own locally produced rice, which is one of the cheapest in the market, goes for over 40,000. That means
45,000, not 40,000.
Okay, how much did you call it?
45.
45. Interesting. So your own locally produced rice goes for 45,000 naira per bag, and it's supposed to be the cheapest in the market. That means we have some locally produced rice that will be sold for maybe 50,000 or more. So if you now want to go for the foreign rice, and this is just September, so by your own projection, and once you're done answering that, you'd also, we've looked at some of these problems. So let's look for the way forward. You've also brought in a lot of way forward in terms of collaboration and the government being intentional. But from your own projection, as someone that is active on the field, someone that sells bags of rice and in a quantity, what are you projecting that a bag of rice, foreign rice and local rice will be by December?
Let me start by saying January this year, our rice was sold at 28,000-30,000 naira
per bag.
January this year, a bag. January this year. 2 years ago, our rice was sold at a bag was 25,000 naira. You see what we're going to? Double. Now, the projection we had recently with some of my colleagues is, let me see what she said. Immediately I posted it on Twitter last 2 weeks about how much I'm selling my bag of rice. The first thing he responded is, 𝗪𝗵𝗁, your rice is cheap. In fact, they are looking at rice by December is going to be eating 60,000 plus.
That's the locally produced rice.
Is not taken. The locally produced rice, if care is not taken. If care is not taken. But so far, in some places, Nigerian rice is sold for 48, 50, 52. Presently as I speak to you. In fact, I just went to I did a meeting today with a woman who sells in wholesale, and we were discussing, and then she was saying their own rice, she gets it at how much, and she sells it at 48,000 presently in Jos. If Jos is selling 48,000, OPEYEMI, how much do you think Lagos will be selling?
I think.
So keep Lagos aside. How much do you think the East will be selling? Let's even keep Lagos. The East is where the food is very high. How much do you think the East is going? So in the outer man's voice, 𝗂𝗶𝗃𝗧, 𝗂𝗶𝗰𝗃.
Mr. Matthias, in 2 minutes, before we allow the people join the conversation, what would you think the president should do for a quick fix? You just talked about the fact that if care is not taken from now till December, we could buy a bag of local rice for over 60,000 per bag. I mean, that's disturbing. So what would you think the president should do for a quick fix? I mean, probably we'll just talk about the long-term plans much later, but let's just salvage the situation right now. What do you think the president should do? Talk to us quickly, then we'll open the conversation.
Yeah, quickly. There's no quick fix. That's not the truth. Anybody who says there's a quick fix to this problem is a liar, and I'll point you to the person is a liar. There's no quick fix to any Nigerian problem. There's no quick fix to it. But the best thing the president can do is, please, he should watch closely the committee she has been setting, especially our new Minister of Agriculture. They should watch these people very closely and make sure that all these things, these beautiful policies we are seeing online, because now online we see them, let it be implemented, and let no state be left behind. Let no state be left behind. Let the government be intentional. Let this committee be held accountable for every 1 naira. If you are giving these 225,000 tons of fertilizer, let's know which states have benefited from it, which local government, how many people. Let those people come. Let us see those people. Let at least, because if you tell me that you have sent 100 tons of fertilizer to Plateau State, and me as a rice farmer, I cannot pinpoint 1, 2, 3 people that have benefited from it, then it's a scam.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthias. The way we always do it on the show, I would keep you on standby so that you get to hear some of the questions, if any, or the contributions that the callers would make, so that you'd also respond to them before we call it a day on the show. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Well, in case you're just joining us, we decided to look away from politics and focus on policies on the show today. And we focused on the issue of food security in Nigeria. Unfortunately, the stats and the figures being brought up by my guest today, it doesn't sound particularly encouraging. But of course, the president has said he's going to focus on food security. They brought up some policy documents that could help to improve the situation. And just like my guest said, he said if care is not taken, by December we could buy rice for as high as 70,000 naira per bag. Well, maybe it's high time some of us start looking beyond rice. Maybe, unfortunately, how many of these things are even affordable in the market? I think even beans is even almost more expensive than rice now. Exactly. So if you think you don't want to eat rice, you want to touch beans, you want to touch yam, all of these things are really expensive. Okay, it's time for you to join the conversation. I've been speaking with Mr. MATHIAS 𝗪𝗪. He's an entrepreneur. He's the CEO of Fresh from Farm Agro World. I mean, if he deals with rice, local rice production, he's a young man with a very big ambition, by the way. And when I was going through his profile, I felt really impressed. We're going to come talk about your experiences with some of the banks and the financial institutions that you've approached for sponsorship. We'll come talk about that later. So let's get into the conversation. 09136000410. 09136000410. Keep it short and simple, just 1 minute, so that we can, get it done on the program today. So keep the calls coming in. 09136000410. I've been speaking with Mr. MATHIAS. He's a farmer. He's based in Jos, and we've looked at some of the challenges that they face as a business owner, especially with the the crisis that we have in terms of security challenges and some of these things, and how the government can come in and support what they do in terms of funding, in terms of support, and some of these things. So I'm trying to reconnect with my guests. I feel it seems we lost a connection in between, so I need to reconnect with him so that I would hear some of the things that the callers are saying on the show today. So keep the calls coming in. When we link up with him, I will start picking the calls, and also keep your text messages coming in. Mr. MATHIAS, good to have you back.
Yes, I'm back.
I think we lost connection with you, so let's go straight to the phone lines. Hello, good evening. You're welcome, Ambassador 𝗪𝗵𝘁. I'm very well.
I'm happy that the church is there. You know, when you first mention his name, I thought it's one of those viral farmers. But listening to him, I know that he's real farmer. So I have break everything down. I also ask you one or two questions. Mr. MATHIAS, are you part of those who display rights in Abuja with the former president, President 𝗪𝗵𝘁? I want to know the display rights outside. Hold on. Let me learn before you answer my question. If you are not, who are those who display that right? Secondly, the nation federal government giving 250,000. How about the governor, your state governor? How about the governor? What are they doing this? I think the federal government gives 250, and state governor gives their own, and the local government gives their own. So I think the farmer will be happy. Moreover, in foreign rice, I think Nigerian rice makes top up the price of the rice.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ambassador 𝗪𝗵𝘁.
How much the price of rice there?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, my guest would note some of these questions, and he would respond to all of them before we call it a day on the program. So keep the calls coming in. Hello, good evening.
There's breaking news. This Okangolina.
Okay, Okangolina, you're welcome.
There's breaking news. This Royal Hotel is on fire right now.
Oh.
Let the fire service people come. The thing is almost finished along Airport Road. That's what I want to tell you. Ibis Royal Hotel.
What's the name of the hotel, please? Ibis
Royal Hotel. IBIS.
Okay.
It's on fire right now. In fact, the hotel has finished.
Oh, that's quite unfortunate. Thank you very much for that piece of information, Mr. Okangolina. Well, if there's anything that could still be salvaged, it's being reported that Ibis Hotel along Airport Road is on fire. If the men of the Lagos State Fire Service can still reach there and salvage, the situation, it would be nice if there can be some quick response to that. Thank you very much, Mr. Okangolina. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, good evening.
OPEYEMI.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My name is 𝗪𝗵𝘁, calling you from Amuwodo.
Prince 𝗪𝗵𝘁, please help me put down the volume of your radio set, or you turn it off completely.
Off. Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Now, I want to ask you a question. Your guest question. Now, he's telling the price of rice now is at 45,000 naira. I don't think it's supposed to be so. When we saw this thing around 25,000 naira by January, what making to increase to that level, to that extent? We've been talking of this issue. We have been using this very long time ago. So did you have a refinery? Because you have to know that Lagos have a refinery this thing. Dangote is building one in Kano. Did these people have their own refinery? They have the refinery. But it's telling us now by January, by December, if you go to the rate of 50,000. Can it be possible when we have local rights? We are not pay for import. Why? That's a big question for you. I want you to answer Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Prince 𝗪𝗪𝗻. Well, he's still going to respond to that, but I think he did already. Cost of production and the challenges, but he's going to certainly respond to that. Thank you very much, Prince 𝗪𝗪𝗻. 0913600610. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
You're welcome.
My name is Alhaji Adewale from Okokomaiko.
Alhaji Adewale from Okokomaiko. Is this the first time you're calling on the show?
Yes, this is my first time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I heard about what your guest said over there, that the federal government should monitor them on the distribution of the fertilizer. That they should monitor them closely. Have you?
Yes.
Yes. I'm speaking from what I saw at Alabarago here. If you come to Alabarago, you will see plenty of fertilizer sold. Why do they get it? Different kind of fertilizers in their warehouse. Warehouse is there. How do they get it? I think the fertilizer is coming from the one that federal government distributes to the farmers. So they should monitor them closely. They should monitor them closely, very, very closely. That's my point, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 09136000410. I can still pick a call or two so that my guests can respond to everything at the same time. Hello, good evening.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where are you calling from?
Don Peters is my name.
Don Peters, you're welcome. Please, you have a minute.
Yes. I listened to your guest, MATHIAS. I listened to him with a keen interest. And I heard all his analysis. I think everything he said is spot on. I marry this to what is going on in Nigeria. And I come to the conclusion that all we do is just play politics. There is no policy implementation that is being done in Nigeria. Because the guy said the obvious from the beginning up to when you have started picking the calls. Why everything is as it is right now. If you marry it comfortably with what is going on in Nigeria, you see we only play politics and nothing but politics. There is no governance anywhere. There is no sincerity of purpose. There is no any form of policy implementation. Everything is just on social media and on the media. Nothing is happening on ground. And the man stated the obvious, and it's just truth. If a bag of rice that is made in Nigeria will be going for 50,000 naira. And why is it so? He have stated it that it is because of high cost of diesel, fuel, transportation, logistics, and the rest of other things. And he has just stated the obvious and nothing more. Let us continue to play politics. And by the end of the day, we will see what we have done to ourselves as people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don Peters. 09136000410. I can still book one more call. Yes, let me just pick up a call and allow my guests to wrap up the show. Then we'll call it a day. Hello, good evening.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, it's making where the calling from.
You're welcome.
When this subsidy was removed, things were skyrocketing in prices, and then government was like, people are not patriotic. It's not diesel they are using, it's not petrol. I laughed because I grew up in a village at Ondo State. Right in that village, people go, if you see mice and mice, they use, some use what they call motorcycle, some use gazoo truck. If you see right inside the bush where they go to bring out these things, because trailers, heavy duty truck cannot go beyond the third road. So if you see the interior places where they bring these things from, they will go up to 10, 20 times to bring it to the main road. So now calculate it. So long as the petroleum prices continue to increase, there is no hope.
Thank you.
You see, they are in the city here, they don't understand what is going on. They are in the city, go find a solution when they don't even understand the terrain. They have to study what they want to tackle and understand it and be able to tackle it.
Thank you very much, 𝗵𝗂𝗧𝗃. Thank you for joining us on the show today. Mr. Matthias.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you've listened to some of the things that the callers have said. The calls are still coming in, but I don't know. If God permits, maybe on Friday we'll just still open the conversation up the more. Is there anything you want to respond? I mean, we've looked at some of these challenges, and you've been gracious enough to give us, way forward in terms of monitoring, implementation, and the government being intentional. But then, how can we salvage this situation? How can we not buy a bag of rice for 70,000 naira by December, Mr. Matthias? In a minute, let's wrap it up.
Easy on that. But if the government wants to do that, the people in charge of this should push on accountable. If they are being held accountable, they have been released or not, because they have not come to tell us that they have released it. We only saw that they said they were going to release. Now, we don't know if they started releasing, and we don't know which state and which. It won't be funny to anyway. There's nothing.
Thank you very much. And is the CEO of Fresh from the Farm Agro World. I mean, they deal in rice production, local rice production. And you can imagine the challenges of a young man, I mean, that went to school, studied mathematics, if I'm not mistaken, and decided to, go into farming. And look at some of the challenges that he's facing. I mean, you have to leave your community to go farm somewhere else, and then you almost got kidnapped on your way from the harvest of that particular product. It's tough, it's difficult, but I have a feeling that we'll get it right very soon. Very, very soon. Thank you very much, Mr. MATHIAS Paul, for joining me live in the Situation Room today.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that's about the size of the package on the show today. Tomorrow is Thursday, God's sparing our lives. Mr. 𝗪𝗶𝘶𝗪, the head of political desk of Guardian newspaper, will be joining me live in the studio. I will look at some of these issues and much more. My name is 𝗪𝗶𝘶𝗪 𝗪𝗶𝘶𝗪. Keep your dial locked on Mainland 98.3 FM. By 5 o'clock, the news headline will come through. By 5:30, the full bulletin. And by 6 p.m., it's going to be Sport Cruise with Wale Adigun and the Sport Gang. Keep your dial locked here and don't go nowhere.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM.